Hello everyone, welcome back to True to Form for a special Grand National edition. No, I haven't been incarcerated in the Racing TV dungeons. This is the new digital studio that you see here, and we're going to go through all 34 runners of the Grand National, plus the 2 reserves and a couple of extras just in case, with a quick pin stickers guide to this Saturday's National. So I'll be galloping through all 34 runners plus the 2 reserves with star ratings between 1 and 5. The 1-star ratings might have to start on Wednesday afternoon to land a blow, and the 5-star rating, well, there's just one of those, and I think he's got a great chance of landing the National. He's an improving horse with the right connections, and fingers crossed he can deliver a nice price for us. So let's get started at the top of the handicap then with I Am Maximus. Last year's impressive 7.5 length winner has undergone a pretty low-key preparation for this race in a couple of Grade 1s in Ireland where, let's be honest, his legs have been tied together. He couldn't win those races, so pointless to judge him on them, but let's judge him on last year's body of evidence. He was very impressive there. He gets 3 stars, though as it's very difficult to follow up in the Grand National. Raw Pagaille is second in. He gets 1 star. He's an admirable mud-loving staying handicap chaser, but he's 5 from 8 round Haydock and 1 from 12 away from his beloved Northwest venue. He retained his ability to win the Betfair Chase, obviously at the start of the season, but jumping errors since have blighted his progress. I just feel 1 or 2 of the younger guns will have too much for him here. Nick Rocket arrives at Aintree in absolutely brilliant order, courtesy of victories in 2 very integral trials for this race, the Thyestes Chase and the Bobby Joe. He saw off anti-post favourite for this race, Intense Raffles, in great style that day, and he's very well suited by big fields and a strong pace, while clearly handling some spring ground as well, given that he was 3rd in the Bet365 last year. He gets 3 stars. Grange Clare West then gets 3 stars. He posted a clear career best in the Irish Gold Cup behind Galopin des Champs prior to his worst completed effort over fences over an inadequate trip at Navan last time. He is, however, unexposed over marathon trips and tough to write off, given he's a Grade 1 winning chaser over a staying trip as a novice. So the lovable Hewitt gains 3 stars. He's a lovable front-running staying chaser in his pomp. Of course, he was a winner of the 2023 King George the Chase on his favoured Good Ground. He's maintained an excellent standard since, granted his optimum conditions of course, has already proved he stays well and copes with big fields courtesy of those Galway Plate and Bet365 handicap chase wins back in 2022. He looks as though conditions are going to come right for him. Minella Indo then, another to gain 3 stars for this, a winner of the 2021 Gold Cup of course, and again excelled last year with a fine 3rd behind I Am Maximus in this event 12 months ago. Seen too infrequently this season really to judge what level of ability he actually retains, and even at the age of 12 he might well find that age is catching up with this grand campaigner. Appreciate it, one of the Willie Mullins sextet. He's only going to get 2 stars here, yet to win beyond 2 mile 5 as a chaser and has more mileage over fences than many of his rivals, so could be vulnerable. Excellent effort on good ground to score with authority at Thurles back in January, but not obviously well treated, and those stamina concerns persist. So Minella Kakuna then, one of my favourite horses in training, gets 4 stars for the Grand National. Another to enjoy an encouraging preparation in the Bobby Joe at Fairyhouse, a really good stepping stone into this race. He kept on well there to take 4th behind Nick Rocket. As a previous winner of the Bet365 on good ground, we know that he copes with spring ground and spring conditions, and these optimum conditions will be ideal for him come Saturday at Aintree. That Irish National run behind Intense Raffles was another signpost to a big performance at 25 to 1 at time of recording. Just the 1 star for Conflated then, a former Irish Gold Cup and Savills Chase winner who finished a creditable 3rd to Galopin des Champs in the 2023 Gold Cup. Undeniably well handicapped these days and shaped encouragingly last time until a bad mistake 2 from home stopped him in his tracks at Cheltenham in a competitive handicap. He could give it a good go from the front, but he does seem as though he's going to be vulnerable to less exposed rivals here. So Stumptown's allotted 4 stars in this race. He's going to be a threat to all this horse, I think. Revitalised for the banks of Ireland and also the cross-country chase at Cheltenham. He posted a career best in the first-time cheap pieces at the festival, ultimately impressing in beating Late Night Pass with some authority. The stable boasts enough strength in depth to withdraw the anti-post favourite for this race in I Know the Way You're Thinking, so he obviously demands huge respect here. Hitman gets allotted just the 1 star, I'm afraid, a horse of immense ability, but his strike rate has never really mirrored that ability, and all of his form is at trips short of 3 miles as well. I can't see him getting home here. The talented Beauport gets 2 stars. He's already pocketed a couple of nationals in an 11-race chase career, and connections were keen to protect his chase mark after a wide margin success at Ascot on his comeback. Last 2 efforts over hurdles have confirmed this likeable front runner remains in good heart, and another which should give a bold sight at the head of affairs. Braveman's Game gets 2 stars, a 1-time Gold Cup runner-up and King George winner 2022. His career has stalled a bit despite a wind operation and the fitting of various forms of headgear. The career CV suggests trips like these may just stretch him, and his recent jumping data on the Race IQ data has suggested that his jumping is starting to deteriorate a little bit, which won't stand him in good stead come Saturday. Just 1 star for Chantry House then. He landed the Betfair handicap chase at Cheltenham on New Year's Day with the blinkers replacing the cheek pieces, but all 7 of his chase victories have come in small fields, and a suspicion that a test of this nature is certainly beyond him at this stage of his career. 300 through 5 has been above par this season, was agonisingly beaten in a valuable Ascot chase on his latest start, and his national pedigree is not too bad either, having finished 4th in the Scottish version a couple of years ago. A test of stamina on good ground are ideal conditions for him. However, all 5 of his chase wins have come in very small fields, and there remains a suspicion he's not quite good enough at this level. He gets 3 stars. So now time for the 5-star campaigner, Percival Legalois. His career had seemed to plateau over fences until a breakthrough win at Leopardstown over Christmas achieved in great fashion. He produced a fine round of jumping and strong staying performance to beat 26 rivals that day. Following that impressive effort, he went to the DRF and won over hurdles in equally impressive fashion, beating 25 rivals, another sizable field, as connections sought to protect that handicap chase mark. Very much a leading contender, on the upgrade, and I think he could develop into one of the gambles of the race. Well, Paul Nicholls has got a strong hand in the Grand National 2025 with 5 runners, and I think Can Do Kid could well emerge as the best of that quintet. He gets 3 stars here. He's one of the ditchy handler's best chances, courtesy of that fine win in the Coral Trophy on his comeback over 3¼ miles. Of course, he was placed in the Topham as well last year. Good experience of the Aintree fences, and I tend to disregard that last run at Newbury over 2½. Not an adequate enough trip for him, not enough of a test of stamina. I think he could go very well here at a price. So what to make of the 4-star Iroko here then? There's been more column inches written about him than Donald Trump in recent weeks, but he's been placed in a Grade 1 event, both over hurdles and fences at Aintree, and his 4-length defeat at this meeting 12 months ago, behind subsequent Gold Cup winner I Know the Way You're Thinking, looks better by the day, doesn't it? He's certainly had his whole campaign centred around this race, and no surprise to see him very prominent in the market. I think the new style of fences as well at Aintree will suit him ideally. I do think he's got a bit of a bad rap for some of his jumping. The Race IQ data doesn't back that up. They say that he's a very clean jumper of fences, and he should be able to get away with it round here. He's a major threat to all. So Intense Raffles is another 4-star performer. He rates extremely highly on the Race IQ jump data, not least in the Bobby Joe chase at Fairyhouse last time when beaten by Nick Rocket. He clocked a figure of 9.2 out of 10 that day, and that's obviously going to stand him in very good stead around Aintree. A winner of the Irish National as well. He goes very well in the spring, and his whole campaign seems to have been centred around getting ready for Saturday. He's only a 7-year-old, but he's got a few miles on the clock, and he looks as though he's going to be a worthy favourite come Saturday. So Senior Chief gains 4 stars as well in this race, ideally suited by good ground and staying trips, as he showcased on his comeback to action at Cheltenham last October, when beating a stablemate with a good bid in hand. Pulled up in last season's Irish National on heavy ground, his trainer believes he's a better horse left-handed, so that can be excused. Recent hurdles warm-up was encouraging, and he's very much an interesting outsider to consider at 25 to 1 or bigger. Ida's Boy just gains the 1 star here, bounced off decent ground to win the Mullingar National at Kilbeggan for previous connections, and has been bought specifically by his current trainer to have a tilt at this race. It's hard to envisage him being good enough at the age of 11 though, but he could show up well for a circuit. Well, there was plenty of talk at the weights launch that Phil Dorr was the best of Gordon Elliott's runners in this race, but he just gets the 1 star from me. He has produced a win at Thurles over 2 miles and 6 furlongs, but he only beat one rival that day, and he also won a Navan novice chase over an extended 2 miles. So there's serious stamina doubts for me that he'll even be able to see the second circuit come Saturday. So I'm a big fan of Broadway Boy, but he just gets the 1 star after those 2 recent lacklustre efforts at Cheltenham. The stable have enjoyed rich success in this race with victories in 1998 and 2002, and his third to senior chief in October would give him a squeak, but it's hard to look beyond those last 2 performances. Just the 1 star for Cocoa Beach then, who has been participating in the last 3 renewals of this race, finishing a commendable 11th last year after being pulled up and beaten 66 lengths in the previous 2 runnings. Virtually impossible to envisage a scenario really where he troubles younger, classier rivals this time round. 1 star as well for Stay Away Faye, a Grade 1 Cheltenham Festival winner over hurdles, and it was in only 6 starts ago he was landing a Grade 2 chase at Sandown, with his career very much on the ascendancy. Sadly, 5 subsequent starts have promised little, and there doesn't seem to be any optimism this race will see a resurgence in his fortunes. Meeting the Waters gets 3 stars here, backed at big prices for this event 12 months ago, and was still in the shake-up at the final fence before fading. He's enjoyed a typical national prep, if you like, with 3 outings over a mixture of hurdles and fences, 2 of which were behind Percival Le Gallois at Leopardstown. Yet to confirm this marathon trip brings about the best in him though, and I wonder whether he will see his optimum conditions come Saturday.
It's a 2-star rating for deep ground lover Monbeg Genius, who finally landed a decent staying chase with a comprehensive success at Uttoxeter in February. Previously placed in the Welsh National, he also reached the podium in the 2024 Coral Trophy at Newbury. This test is sure to play to his strengths, providing he manages to stay in touch on the prevailing ground.
So just the 2 stars for Vanillier then, who's got plenty of previous with this race. He was runner-up to Correct Rambler in this contest 2 years ago and didn't fare so well in last year's renewal when beaten 42 lengths by I Am Maximus. He's looked revitalised though in the headgear this last couple of starts as well, especially when finishing 3rd behind Stumptown at Cheltenham when his rider almost took the wrong course. So he acquitted himself really well there, and he'll be fancied by many, just not by this correspondent. Haransu Dairy, just the 1 star for this former Willie Mullins trained inmate. He's now with new connections. He's managed to win 2 of his 10 chase starts and handled good ground really well for his former handler. But neither of those chase victories were achieved beyond 2.5 miles, and the stamina queries are there still for him to answer. So a few withdrawals on Monday afternoon have allowed 3-card Bragg into the race, and he could be a really dangerous one at the foot of the handicap, especially with connections booking Sean Bowen. That looks a great booking for fanciers of 3-card Bragg. I'm a long-term admirer of the horse. I liked him when he won a couple of starts ago in that novices chase at Navan. He stayed on very strongly that day and certainly clocked a very good speed figure and a good Race IQ jump index figure. I think he'll go really well at the foot of the handicap this Saturday. So 3 stars for Highland then, who's the likely race chaser looking to end Nicky Henderson's hoodoo in this race. Of course, he has got Grade 1 placed form on his CV, courtesy of that fine second to the jukebox man at Kempton over Christmas in the Corto Star Novices Chase. He operates very well on a sound surface. His jumping index rating wasn't quite so clever on good to soft ground at Kempton last time, but if conditions are on the sounder side at Aintree, he should run a really good race from the foot of the handicap.
The age of 13, Celeb Delen isn't going to feature on too many shortlists, hence he gets a 2-star rating here. But he has made it round on all 3 starts over the national fences, finishing 4th in both the Beecher and Topham chases. However, he quickly emptied in the 2023 Beecher, and there remains a suspicion his stamina will again be found wanting here.
So Twig, a fine second in last season's Ultima Chase at the Cheltenham Festival, but nowhere near that level in 4 starts this season, albeit 3 of them were over hurdles. Just the 1 star for him, I'm afraid. So Duffelcoat was taken out of the National Hunt Chase through no fault of his own. He was brought down on that occasion. But 13 chase starts have yielded just 1 victory, and that came in the Mayo National last May. He did proceed to run really well in the Galway Plate last summer, but this race demands a different kind of skill set. I'm not sure he's capable of managing to trouble the judge. 1 star. Roy Marge, we'll keep this short and succinct. No 13-year-old has won this race since 1923. 1 star. Shake 'em Up Harry. Well, this would be a headline writer's dream, wouldn't it? 1 star though for Shake 'em Up Harry, a talented chaser over trips in and around 2.5 miles, as was evidenced by his Cheltenham Festival victory in 2024. Hard to see him lasting out this trip though, or his owner Harry Redknapp picking up the trophy. So breathless, exhausted, that's not Saturday's winner, that's me after going through all 34 of the runners for Saturday's great race at Aintree. I'll leave you with my Fab 4, well at least I hope they're fabulous. That's Percival Lagawa, he gets the 5-star rating. Minella Kakuna gets 4 stars along with Senior Chief. And 3-card Bragg could be a big threat to all at the foot of the handicap with Sean Bowen on board. Thanks very much for tuning in this week. I look forward to speaking to you next week.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.